So the high-level panel, as you can see, we've been holding the mic and talking to everybody. But this will be handled by a very, very high panelist moderator. Let's make welcome Mr. Tunde Onakoya. Please, a round of applause for Mr. Tunde Onakoya. Thank you very much. That is the moderator, yes.
NADDC, sorry. Ministry of Transport, has it gone? Ministry of Transport. Representative of Flutter Wave, Hotel Energy. Can we have them? I've called. Thank you. Then can we have Tree of Life himself? Yeah. Tree of Life Photo World. Then Son, BOI, Son. Engineer Osa from Lamata, can we have you here, please? Can we have Mrs. Onose? Onose Agiri, can we have you here as well? Can we have Mr. Timmy too? Okay. Okay. Please, can we have Engineer Adekunle Olapade? Can we have you up here, sir? Engineer Olapade from LASEC. Engineer Olopade. Okay, thank you. Moderator, we're handing over to you.
Yes, we need to find a way to move the microphone around. We need to get the microphones first. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. That's howling back, okay. No. Yes, I don't think it's from mine. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tunde Onakoya, and I welcome you to this panel session. The ladies and gentlemen on the panel, I welcome you as well. Today we've had a lot of discussion here. We've also had a lot of presentations done. We have talked about policy, infrastructure, payments, financing, and capacity. The question now will be execution. Where do we go from there? And I'm going to be looking at it starting with the NADDC. What do you think is the biggest bottleneck right now that's preventing Nigeria from scaling alternative energy today?
Thank you. My name is Umar Nourasidi from National Automotive Design and Development Council, specifically from the Policy and Planning Department. Now, in the issue of transition from ICE, that is internal combustion engines, to CNG and electric vehicles, the key issue is that the individuals are waiting for infrastructure. And then infrastructure is also waiting for the consumers. So there is the need, like it has been said severally on this floor, that it has to be private sector driven. Government is not in the business of doing business. Therefore, there's a serious need for the private sector to get involved in this particular transition. Now, we have made the policies, and the policies are ongoing. Wherever there are issues with the policies, we design other policies so as to counteract the problems that we are having. But unfortunately, the disconnect between the private sector and the policies we are making is the big problem that we are having. There is the need for massive deployment of charging infrastructures in the case of the electric vehicles. Why people are seriously discouraged from buying electric vehicles is not because they don't need them. But if I have to travel from Lagos to Maiduguri with my EV, how do I get to charge my EV? Because most of the EVs are within the 500 to 600 kilometer capacity, except if they are hybrid, where you could actually alternate between electric and fuel cell. Now, the issue is, if there are a lot of charging infrastructure along the way, there are so many fast chargers now, direct current chargers, that can charge a vehicle from 0 to 60 in 30 minutes. Therefore, if these massive infrastructure are developed, people would want to buy electric cars, even though the world over, there is another major challenge with electric vehicle deployment, which is the initial cost of the electric vehicles. We need to look at the China story. China is the largest consumers of electric vehicles. There are more than 34 million electric vehicles in China. About 60% of the total electric vehicles in Nigeria are in China. Now, Chinese formulated policies that actually helps people get on board using electric vehicles. Now, one of the things they used was, if you buy an internal combustion engine, you apply for a license before you drive. But and it usually takes sometimes up to 1 or 2 years before you can actually get that license. But if you are buying EV, you can get it almost the next day. So there are certain things that we need to do as a government so that we'll be able to promote the use of these electric vehicles. But the bottom line is that there must be development of infrastructure. And I must say that PC presidential initiative on CNG and EV is doing its best to deploy these charging infrastructures I learned, and I think that is a big way to start. So the big disconnect is actually between the charging infrastructures and the consumers. So there's need for a lot of awareness so that people can key into this electric vehicle transformation. Because it's either we key into it today or we will be left behind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that submission. Now, I know that we have somebody from an MDA within the Lagos State government here. And the question there is, if Lagos State commits to aggressive EV and CNG rollout within the next 24 months, what must happen immediately to avoid system failure?
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Engineer Osa Kojenha. I'm the Technical Advisor Planning Lamata. So I think the key really is policy regulation. If it must happen in the next 2 years, we have to have the right policies in place. We have to have the right regulations. We must have the right enforcement mechanisms. We also need to have the right financial mechanisms because for us in Lamata, for instance, we are desirous of being a multi-fueled agency. So we're desirous of having EV buses or electric buses. We're desirous of using more CNG. And we're also desirous of using biogas to fuel our buses. Now, the challenge that our operators have is how do they access the funds to be able to purchase these vehicles. So that is critical. If it has to happen in 2 years, we have to have all these things in place to make sure that this happens. Thank you.
Okay, that's a beautiful submission, and it's quite succinct, straight to the point. Now, you see, from both submissions we've heard, I'd like to speak to Flutterwave and at the same time speak to BOI. Where do you come in? Because from all indication, there is an infrastructure deficit that requires funding to close the gap. What role are your organizations willing to play to make this happen?
So thank you. My name is Ndidiamaka Ifeanyi. I'm the group head for transport and logistics for Bank of Industry. So Bank of Industry, our 2025 to 2027 strategy, we are focused on 6 thematic areas. And these thematic, 3 out of them are digital economy, infrastructure development, and climate and sustainability, as well as focused on micro, small, and medium enterprises, funding all these projects. So for our EV, talking about the EV space and the CNG space, the bank is willing to provide the funding for this. We have been doing this. In fact, we were awarded the most sustainable finance institution last week, because the bank has been financing. We are keen on sustainability, climate as it is. As of last year, the bank has also positioned itself for infrastructure projects, wherein this transport and logistics division was created, as well as we have a climate finance group, we have renewable energy group, just to ensure that every funding need for projects such as CNG projects, EV charging, that we are ensuring that finance is being provided, funding needs are being met at any point in time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Flutterwave, who's representing Flutterwave here? We don't have? Oh, nobody from Flutterwave. I'm sorry about that. Now, it suggests to me that you are working mainly on the infrastructure.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
You are working mainly on the infrastructure side.
Yes.
I wish we had Flutterwave here, because I'll be asking the question, financing for people that want to transition, how will they be able to handle that? And does the Bank of Industry do that?
Oh, yes, we do that.
Okay, so what are the medium?
Like, for the project to be bankable and for us to be able to fund, of course, first of all, the demand should be there. The demand offtake for such products. So if you are doing CNG, you must have your demand, because no demand, no cash flow. For you to, that's the truth. No demand, no cash flow, no loan. So that demand has to be there. Your policies, you ensure that you have all your required policy documents or startup documents for such projects. You have to have that in place. Your supply, you're not just going to get any technology that you're not sure that it's working. So all those things we need to put it in place. Then even you that's starting the project, you have to put a bit of equity into that project to ensure that you are going to meet up. Not when we fund and next thing we don't see you anymore and we are searching for the chief promoter of the project. Also, we ensure, though at the end of the day you have to still provide collateral for the project, that's what makes the project still bankable. So the bank is seriously working on financing such projects and pushing CNG projects out there.
Okay, so thank you. I'm going to stay with you for one more moment.
Okay.
And that is because, I mean, finance is the backbone of almost everything.
Yeah.
However, we know that in the EV sector, CNG sector, let's just say renewable energy sector generally,
Yes.
patient fund is what is required.
Yes.
It's not a fast-yielding, fast returns environment.
Oh, yes.
So is the BOI facility available? Is it patient fund? And
Yes.
how patient is it?
So we give you moratorium
Okay.
during even when we are during our process, the moratorium has to be there. And that moratorium is tailored to, first of all, when your equipment will arrive, installation process, and when you commence with your production. And even when you start at least making some money from that project. So we do that. That is being taken care of during our appraisal process.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for her, because it seems like I was grilling her here, and she seems to be up to the task with that. So our next question goes to Tree of Life, and it's the question of, do we currently have enough trained technicians and engineers to support large-scale deployment? And if not, what's the risk?
Thank you very much for that sensitive question. And if we must build people, or if we don't build people, pardon me, then alongside infrastructure, then we will build an asset that cannot perform. And I would say that talking about policy now and talking about infrastructure, we need to alongside build people technically who can actually sustain the infrastructure. So I would say that we ought to also focus critically on the technical part of this whole exercise in building people in order to sustain the infrastructure we are aiming at.
Okay, that's a good one, but I'm going to bring it back to NADDC, because they have the primary responsibility of ensuring that sector thrives, and thrive mostly from a policy regulation perspective. We have currently a dearth of technicians trained, qualified, with the capacity to cover for the ambition that is currently in place for CNG and EVs. What is the NADDC doing?
Well, at the NADDC at the moment, as I speak today, we have trained more than 30,000 artisans in CNG conversion, mechatronics, and general repairs. So it's an ongoing thing. We have more than 23 automotive training centers. These are centers that are fully equipped with modern gadgets that are used in modern repair of automobiles, and some of these are already operational, while some are yet to be commissioned. So it's an ongoing thing for us. The training is an ongoing thing for us. And I think by the time we fully engage the 23 automotive training centers and the test emission centers that we have in the country, there is not going to be any shortage of skilled mechatronics training, because the issue is actually mechatronics, because that is the in thing, that is what repairs our electric vehicles, and that is what repairs the very highly electric vehicles that we have today.
Permit me to butt in there. Is that pace matching the pace of development that we are looking at in that sector?
Well, yes and no. Why I said yes is because the NADDC is doing its best to see that we do this quite a lot. And then no, because I think there needs to be private sector engagement. There is also a need for other stakeholders to come on board, so that by the time we do this on a larger scale, we're going to have that particular coverage that we need.
Thank you very much. I have this question for Lamata. I don't know who is responsible, representing Lamata here. You are the one representing Lamata. Oh, okay, I didn't know that, because I don't have sufficient information. Ma'am, which agency are you representing? So I'm sure I have you captured here as well. Yes, ma'am. Development Bank of Nigeria. I've not been asking you questions. You are the ones who are looking for money. People that are in charge of money. I'm so sorry about that. But the Development Bank, because I've had a question here that I hope would have come to the DBN. What does the Development Bank of Nigeria do?
Thank you very much. I think I just made a brief presentation a couple of minutes ago, right? So for Development Bank, we are an wholesale DFI, right?
Yeah.
But we have a mandate to provide access to finance for MSMEs.
Not individuals, MSMEs.
MSMEs, yes.
Okay.
MSMEs. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think that was brief and straight to the point. So in the development of this alternative energy sector, CNG, EVs, by extension, charging infrastructure, perhaps CNG refilling facilities. By the time we start doing backward integration, it goes up and up and up. What role is the DBN currently playing in that space?
So, as we speak, really, I think I did mention earlier that we got Green Climate Fund accreditation,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it's a $250 million financing.
Okay.
And this is supposed to provide access to finance for MSMEs in this space. I'm talking about renewable energy, transportation and logistics, all the EV financing, CNG, and the Oshi Bank is in there. Presently, we are operationalizing this framework. We're working with ministries like the REA, and trying to fund some of the mini grid developers, and all that. So this all for e-mobility, everything falls under the green financing, which is actually available for MSMEs. You only have to approach your bank and signify that readiness to start. And in addition to that, there are technical assistance and capacity building sessions, because we realize that it's not enough to just have this finance. What is very key, in fact, the first step is to enable the MSMEs understand the value chain, right? And so they are able to effectively play. We want to also make them investment ready. How do they keep their books, right? And so that, and the idea really is DBN can provide the startup fund, but we want to make these MSMEs ready for investment where other finance institutions can also come in and participate, because we believe that with this synergy, we are able to actually scale. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was beautifully put. But I'm going to stay with you and still engage BOI. We're talking about a deficit right now of skilled trained hands. What role? Because I'd say something. NADDC does a lot of intervention. A lot of government agencies are doing intervention. Training in the EV and CNG space is not cheap. And a lot of everyday persons cannot afford these trainings if it's going to be done standard, as it should be. Now, do you fund training programs? Because if somebody is not trained without capacity, how does he start an MSME that offers this service that you can then give the money to? Do you do that?
Yes, so we actually have...
And I mean technical training, sorry to
yes,
cut you.
Yes, these are technical trainings. They are the general trainings where we pull out, different businesses, for the training, and even the participating financial institutions, which are the banks, right? Yes. So, and then there are the very specific trainings, and DBN today has innovation hubs across the country. Great. Where we are able to tailor these trainings based on region, location, and all that. So we have all these ongoing, right? And again, for any MSME here today to get started, you only have to go to the website or talk to your bank, because we have training programs all year round, and it cuts across all the sectors. So there are sectors that we are really very passionate about, and we've turned them the art-based sectors. And so art-based has to do with healthcare, education, agriculture, renewable energy, transportation and logistics, banking, enterprise, manufacturing, arts and creative. And so these are art-based. So we actually have renewable and then the transportation and logistics at the center of this art-based. And we're doing all of this in collaboration with participating finance institutions, and even including the microfinance banks. So if there's an SME here today, you have a relationship with any microfinance bank, you can also access the DBN funding through the microfinance banks. Thank you.
Fantastic. Perhaps the question I should ask next is, what do you not do? But let's take the question to BOI. How do you work in the area of human capacity development in the space?
So BOI has BDSPs. They are called BDSPs, Business Development Service Providers.
Okay.
So they are accredited strategic partners who work with us to help package SME project, MSMEs, businesses to meet BOI risk acceptance criteria.
Okay.
So we even, on our website, once you go, you have a list of our BDSPs. Okay. You can approach any one of them to assist with packaging your projects, okay, just to ensure that you meet with our criteria. So that's what we do.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I want to talk to Lamata now. And my question would be, based on your experience, you are in business. Am I right?
We're regulators.
You are in business as regulators. And when I say you are in business, it means you are engaging multiple people on multiple things.
Very correct.
Very correct. And the engagement is mostly for them to be able to play in that space within Lagos. Am I right? Correct. Fantastic. So, do you think that people should come into the space, commit their resources in that same space, and they get a reasonable level of confidence in what Lamata is going to do to ensure they thrive in that space?
Okay, thank you for that question. So I just need to set the scene first of all. You see, Lamata is responsible for planning, regulating, franchising public transportation in Lagos. And so we start with the planning aspect, and we make sure that there's a market for every mode of transportation. So if the first question is there a market? And I remember one of the panelists here mentioned the demand. Is there a demand? Yes, there is a demand. Are there people willing to participate in the business? Yes, there are people available to participate in the business. But the issue here is the how. Yeah. And Lamata ensures that there is enabling environment. Lamata ensures that the link between operators and the banks is available. So we're there to support them through their dialogue with the banks to try and get the necessary resources. But we are mindful that we want credible people, credible organizations to play in this space. We want serious people to play in this space. And so we take due diligence very, very seriously. We ensure that technically the bus operators are sound technically. We ensure that financially they are sound. And all of this is to make sure that they are ready to perform in this space. So the answer to your question is yes, we do everything possible with all our stakeholders to ensure that they are ready, they are serious, they are able to play in the EV space, the CNG space, and I keep harping on this, the biogas space. Remembering that in Lagos, we have 14,000 metric tons of waste that we now need to convert into biofuel to use to generate power and to run our buses. So we should not neglect that segment of the renewable, the alternative fuel. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a beautiful response. I'm coming to SON now. You have been spared all along, but I think we should engage you more now. Now, in all of this, the Standard Organization of Nigeria has a role to play. You set standards for everything within the current space of the automotive sector generally, and then we come to specifics of alternative energy sector. Is the SON engaging enough? I would say SON has not been visible enough in that space, but we would say, are you engaging enough? And what specific roles have you in recent times played in the development of this infrastructure for CNG, for EVs, and all the ancillaries around it, because the power or the energy must be generated somewhere or put together somewhere, must be transmitted through a certain means, must get through a charging station or a CNG station, and gets onto a vehicle using specific instruments in the process. Equipments are used in the process. What are the things that SON is doing in that space?
Okay, for the Standards Organization of Nigeria, I believe that we are doing our best. We know that standards, for any standard to be formulated, you need to get across to stakeholders. So we have been doing our best to reach out, and that does not mean that we still don't have areas of opportunities to engage more. We will still explore that. In recent times, we have been very, very active in the social media as well, because we know that a lot of experts are also engaged in the social media. So we are doing our very best. While it may appear sometimes that we are lacking, is that sometimes when documents are circulated to some of our stakeholders, we find out that even among their own sphere, they don't reach out. So I will just use this medium to, highlight again that for our standard to become a document that is known by all and accessible by all, once you get this document as an institution, you can also reach out to relevant, stakeholders around you and let them know, let them have their input. And of course, you can also get access to SON. SON is available on the website. SON is also on the webpage. SON is also available on social media, and we'll continue to do more stakeholders engagement.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I'm going to come to Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission. Have you been working with SON?
Have we been working
with SON?
What I can tell you is that part of the standards we are going to create is part of what SON also already have.
Great, fantastic. So that was just a prelude to my real question. And my real question would be, with the proliferation of EVs, especially within the Lagos metropolis, people are installing chargers in their homes, and I use the word indiscriminately. That poses a safety risk. And the safety is not just to maybe the grid, might be safety to their homes itself, in fact, to their businesses. What have you put in place as LASEC in terms of regulating that proliferation?
Okay, so as LASEC, we have safety rules and safety guidelines. And those safety rules and safety guidelines also impact on the market. Now, for an individual who has chosen to put all this infrastructure in his house, if there is any issue that happens, I tell you sincerely speaking, when the requisite organizations are meant to check, at that moment, you won't have anybody to hold responsible. But one thing I can tell you is, from the beginning, we make it clear. If you go to the LASEC website, all the regulations and the safety rules you ought to follow is there. I like what the person from Lamata have said. In this system, regulation is very important. At the same time, you've talked to the banking people because, again, people that choose to, I know that when they make the presentation, they must have talked about the time of use. We will get to that point, because what it means is that no matter how I try to build all this infrastructure, the tariff, that is the monetary part now, is what is going to pay back those loans and every other thing we're talking about. And this is where LASEC comes very handy, because that methodology is also going to come in from LASEC. You get what I'm saying? So now, in some developed client, there are different tariffs that speaks to if you have EV system in your house and the kind of tariff you are meant to be using. But for now in Nigeria, we're still stuck to, or should I say, we're still in the transition period, we're still using the MITO kind of a tariff system, which is still very high for some people. And obviously some people probably, if they have an EV system and maybe you're in the band C or band D, you may not really feel the impact. But again, you are putting more stress on the limited capacity that is out there. So when you when you do such and the system does not capture it, you are depriving some people some usage of the limited infrastructure within the neighborhood. But however, if those who are going to do it on a large scale, because like the person from NADDC said, if you're going to deploy on a large scale, you need to be properly regulated. You need to get all the standard codes and all the details, so that when you are there, we know that you are here and you have met all the necessary criteria.
Thank you so much for that response. I'd come back with something for you. If there is any particular plan in place, it will be now to ramp up on that plan. Sensitization of the public is not happening well enough. I'd expect that by now, knowing that there's a proliferation of EVs in Lagos, and that we are also doing this to create more awareness, LASEC should buy media space on TV, on radio, to run campaigns, to educate the public. We know more people, owing to the current energy crisis in the country, are going towards EVs. Should you intend to buy an EV, own one, or already purchased one, please go through these guidelines or go through this website to know the proper way to use it, so that you are not in contravention of the existing rules. I can assure you a lot of people own EVs today and they don't even know that these guidelines are in place. They call somebody that's selling the EV to them, come and install this in my house. He installs it, they walk away, and it's affecting the entire grid of the area, and nobody knows. Now, is LASEC working in that line?
Obviously, we are working in that guidelines. Like you said, we will do more
public sensitization.
Sensitization. It can never be enough. We'll keep doing that.
Thank you. So I'm going to come back to DBN and BOI. And the question is, will investors commit capital without confidence in local technical capacity?
Will investors, please repeat?
Would you commit your capital without being sure there is adequate local technical capacity?
Oh, yes, we will. Because the thing is, like I said earlier, we also do our own due diligence on your supplier, ensuring that you're not just bringing a technology that won't work. So with that being said, if we are sure, we'll invest our capital.
But if you are not sure, what happens?
If we're not sure, then we'll decline, and we'll also work with you to ensure you meet our standards.
To build the capacity.
Yes, to build the capacity. Exactly.
Thank you. DBN.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I think it's, pretty much the same thing. It's just that in this case, we sort of do it the reverse.
Okay.
And so what we want to examine, we look at, what policies do you have in place as, as a company? You can't just walk in to say, okay, I just want to acquire a fleet. We look at the historicals, right? And those are the things that will tell us if you really have the capacity. We look at a lot of things like even the contracts you have. There must be contracts with suppliers. We want to look at even the maintenance, So we look at all of these things. And where they are not in place, it's not a no-no. So we have these technical assistance programs where, we introduce these MSMEs into a cohort. and then we monitor progress. And then they are mandated to come, do presentations. We have panelists who assess them, that they are ready, right? And then before we even come in with financing, because we recognize that this is an area where it's still sort of nascent. Yes. A lot has to go into publicity, like, it's said, and then a lot has to go into capacity building. Yes. But ultimately, renewable energy is the future, and we cannot run away from it.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for that. So I'm going to start from Tree of Life, and I'd like you to give us your parting shots from this session. What was your key takeaway from this session? Because you are on it.
Thank you very much. In summary, all I have to take is the readiness of all the stakeholders, and the Development Bank of Nigeria have actually opened our understandings to things that we can actually achieve alongside one of BOI. And I want to also, I'm going to also take something from what the representative of NADD said, and the number of, even though we are partners, and if he's saying that they have trained thousands of people, I think we seated here at the brain behind that. So we're going to take that home, and also I'm going to also take something significant that you mentioned that he responded to, and in a way, it actually didn't address it the way I expected it to. That have they been doing something with SON, and that's standard, and to be honest, in that area, we're actually lagging behind, and I think SON have a lot to do in that regard.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, something has emerged from this discussion we've had so far. And it's very clear that we do not lack policy. They are in place. We do not lack capital. There's capital in place. We just are seeing it in the glass. We can't touch. We also do not lack the technology. We may have some deficit in area of capacity, which is being built, albeit very slow compared to our interests and our enthusiasm for it. What remains a challenge from what I've heard from everyone here is coordination. Coordination, execution, and capacity. Those are three areas that there need to be a lot more synergy. The next 6 months I consider it to be very critical in this sector because they will determine if this transition becomes tangible or it remains aspirational. We have aspired for this for about 3 years or 4 years now, and we're just making trickles and bits of progress here and there. Looks to me like the opportunity is here. The urgency is quite real for everyone, and the responsibility is collective. I'd like to thank everyone that is on this, that's come on this panel. You have done very, very well. I appreciate the candor with which you've presented your points, and I'd like to say, on behalf of everyone in the house, a big thank you to everyone, and that will be the end of this particular session. Thank you so much.